Hi, welcome to our fifth video on guitar synthesizers. Now, a lot of people watch this series because they're interested in the GM800, and rightly so. It's a pretty cool machine, actually. And a lot of people want to upgrade from this GR55, and in the comment area, people have commented how they plan on selling this to help pay for this. But my suggestion is to keep both of them at the same time if this is what you have, because you can actually plug in to both of these at the same time. I'm going to show you how to do that. And some people have the SY1000. You don't have to sell anything. You know, you can plug into 2 or 3 synths at one time, and you can plug into a 4-pedal unit such as the GT1000 or the GT800, or if you have a special floorboard that you use, you can plug into that as well. You can plug into all of that from one guitar and play all of it at the same time. We're going to cover all those things, but we're also going to cover the control function. What is the control function? How do we use the control function? And how do we expand the control function capabilities? How do we get more control functions in our signal path? Okay, so we're going to cover all of that now in this video, so stay tuned. Here we go. Okay, so the GR55 has one control switch on it, which is located right here, obviously, and it has built-in amp models, and the amp models are called the Cosm amp models. It's an older collection of amp models. It also has built-in guitar models as well, and even though I'm playing my Strat, I'm not using the tone from the pickups. In this particular patch, I'm using the Strat that's built into the GR55, okay, and it's plugged in to a Fender guitar, which is a version of the Cosm amp models. Now, if I play it, you can see this is what it sounds like, right? I like that compression Fender tone that you get, okay? So what a control does is it just basically switches on and off one function in your patch, and there's several different functions it can control. And so in this particular patch, I have it to turn on the guitar synth. So if I'm playing and I want to blend that with the guitar synth, I hit the control feature right here, and now I got the guitar synth. Okay, the GT100 also has one control switch that you can see right here. And the Cosm amp models that are in the GR55 are also built into here, but it has a few more amps and a few more selections, and you can do more things with the amps than you can do with the GR55. For example, you can have 2 different signal paths if you want, and you can have 2 different amps, and you can switch between the amplifiers using that control function. You can set your amp up so that you have 2 different volumes, and when you hit the control function, it'll increase the volume during the solo. Then you hit the control function after the solo is over with, and it turns your amp back down. And you can also use it to turn on and off pedal effects. And a lot of the Boss pedal effects that you see that's been around for a little while are built into the GT100. We have a control function that's built in the back, and you can plug an amp in here, or you can plug like a pedal. So you have a control function right back here. I don't really use them, but you can get a pedal and plug it in and have a control function that way. All right, next up is the GT1000, and as you can see with this, it has the AIRD amp models, and these amp models are much better than the Cosm amp models. It's a vast improvement. Next step up. Now the Cosm amp models I like, they're pretty good, but I can tell that they're amp models. The GT1000 is very hard to tell the difference between the actual amp and the AIRD amp model. You get more of the interaction that you would typically get from an amplifier. You get that more with this. And it's like the difference between the pod, Line 6 pod and the Line 6 Helix, how the Helix are so much better than the Line 6 pod. It's the same thing here. The AIRD amp models are so much better than the Cosm amp models of the newer technology. Now, on this particular GT1000, we have 3 control functions, as you can see. And if we look on the back, you can tell that there are inserts for more control functions, and you basically use these pedals right here, and you use a TRS cable. Now you can tell TRS cable because it has 2 lines here, or 2 little rubber washers here. That's a TRS cable, and you would plug this into one of these, and then you would plug this into the other end, And this will give you two more, because you have a button here and a button here. So this will give you two more control functions. These pedals are only 65 bucks, so they're not that expensive. And that will give you 2 and 2, so that's 4 more control functions. Now you can also use those control functions in the back to control an expression pedal. So you can have 2 control functions and then an expression pedal hooked up. So if you want a volume pedal and a wah pedal that's separate, for example, you could do that. If you want to do some kind of control on the chorus, you could do that as well. So you can take the expression pedals and control various aspects of your patch as well. Next up is the Boss SY1000. Now, I always say that this is Boss's best kept secret. If I could only have one Boss pedal and I had to get rid of all of my other pedals, this would be the one I keep. It's got a lot of really cool features in it. First of all, it's got the built-in amp models, and the amp models are the AIRD amp models. Now, it doesn't have all the amp models that are built into the GT1000, but it has a lot of them. It has probably all but maybe 3 or 4 maybe. I haven't done the comparison. We're going to have to do another video on this in the future. Now it also has built-in guitar models as well. And those models are better than the guitars that are built into the GR55. So if you like the amp models and the guitar models that are in the GR55, this one has better amp models and better guitar models. And the synth itself is pretty outstanding. Now, if we go to the back, you're going to see more control panels. You have control panels here, control switches, or an expression, and then you can do a control or an expression too. Okay, so you can do 4 control switches, or 1 expression pedal and 2 control switches. So you can expand that. Now you'll see up here you have 2 control functions here and here as well. Okay, and so that's really cool that you can hook up these extra control functions to control various things. Very good guitar synth, probably the best amp model guitar synth that there is out there right now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover some different types of foot switches that you can use to turn on and off your control functions. And the 2 main ones we're going to cover are these pedals, the FS6, foot switch 6, and the FS7 or foot switch 7. Now these are about 65 bucks, so it's not a whole lot of money. And each one of these are going to come with one of these. And there's no battery in here. So if you take this off and you look in it, you're going to see there's no battery in there. So don't bother doing that. You're just going to be wasting your time. And these just plug in like so. And then you can plug this into like a 9-volt adapter. So we have one right here. And it just plug in like so. And there you go. And then you'll use your TRS cable, which is right here. Okay. And you'll switch them on and off like this. And you can make the light solid, or you can make it blink. And this gives you 2 control functions in 1 jack, fairly basic. These fit on your pedal board a lot better than the FS6. The FS6 is going to take up a lot more room. So if real estate is a big deal, this is a good option for you, but they do need to be plugged in and they don't take batteries. Now your next option is the FS6, and this is a pretty cool little foot switch. I like these, and you can even hook them together if you want to. Now these are battery powered. They don't take the power supply. So if you're looking for something that takes a battery, this is your guy right here. And you have on the back if you're going to do like a control function that has 2 control functions in 1 jack, you'd use your TRS cable and you just go right in the middle like so. Make sure your polarity is over to the left all the way. And the cool thing about this, they take batteries, right? You can see where you have a power, right? And they can hook together as well. So what you could do is you could like take this and they just kind of go together like that. And you can set it right down on the floor there, and you can expand the capabilities of your guitar synth, or you can expand the capabilities of your GT1000. Okay, so before we continue with the control functions, we need to explain modes of operation, okay? So the Boss GT1000 has 3 modes of operation. The Boss SY1000, which is over here, okay, that has two modes of operation, and they're similar. So we're basically running a comparison on the two, okay? So this first mode is called the memory mode, and you can adjust the screen here by the page buttons. You go over, and now we're on Magic Carpet, okay? That's our preset name, and here's our preset location, user bank 40, and it's preset number 3. We go over one more, and you can see that each one of these numbers correlates down here to one of the presets, and you can change your preset simply by hitting on these numbers, okay? So let's go back over. We're on Magic Carpet, so if I want to change to another bank, I go down a bank number, then I select my preset, and there you go. I can switch around and get different types of presets this way. Now, the next mode, we have to go to menu to access our settings, and then in control mode, hit on that. We're on memory mode. We're going to dial this up to manual mode, okay? Now we're going to exit out of manual mode. And now you can see this is different, okay? So we still have our bank selection, but what we've done is instead of making these presets, we've made these control functions. So even though we have 3 control functions, we have 5 more down here. And we can turn effects on and off by using the numbers, okay? Now, we could still change our preset if we want. We just simply go to the bank we want to go to, and now you can see this all blinking the same color, and all we have to do is select a preset number. Now we've changed our preset, and we can still turn things on and off. So this is manual mode. And the final mode, let's go to menu, and we're going to go to control mode again, and we're going to go up to pedal board mode. Okay, let's go ahead and exit off of this. And what this basically does is it makes the GT1000 a pedal board, okay? So we have 10 effects that we can load on here that we can turn on and off simply by using this as a pedal board. So we can basically turn the amp model off, plug it into an amplifier, and just use the effects that are built in this as a pedal board, okay? So it has 135 effects, approximately. And you can load any one of those effects in here and control them in a pedal board type function, okay? So let's go back to manual mode. Actually, let's get out of that. We're gonna go back to manual mode, go to the control, go back down, actually to memory. Let's go back to the memory mode, and we're gonna hit exit again, and we're gonna change our screen back to our original screen here. Okay, so each patch you can use up to 23 effects at one time. As I said, there are 135 effects that are built into this, but each patch allows you to use up to 23 at a time, and you can use 2 amp models at once. So it's actually 21 effects and 2 amp models that you can use at one time. And there are 23 amp models that are built in to this unit. Okay, next up is the SY1000, and it has 2 modes. And the first mode is the memory mode. It works a lot like the GT1000, and you can basically pan over the same way. The screen works the same way as the GT1000, okay? And you can switch your patches this way, okay? Now, it also has a manual mode. So we're going to go to system, and we're going to go to control mode. Once again, we're on memory. We're going to go up to manual mode, and then let's go ahead and exit, get to the main screen, and you can see that the same thing applies. We have our 4 preset buttons have become on and off switches or control functions. We have 2 control functions on top here, but now these are control functions. We can turn things on and off, okay? We can still change patches the same way. We can switch our bank, and then we can load a different preset. I say that the SY1000 is Boss's best kept secret for good reason. First of all, the AIRD amp models that are in the GT1000 are in here. Except for there's 31 amp models in here where there's only 23 in the GT1000. Now there are some amp models that are in the GT1000 that are not in the SY1000, and there's some amp models in the SY1000 that are not in the GT1000. Now in addition to that, this has 105 effects that are pretty cool, but it also has guitar models. And out of the guitar models, it has 12 electric guitar, and it's 2 types, and it has 9 acoustic guitars, and it has 3 bass models. And in addition to that, it has 13 cabinets, so you can switch out the back of the cabinets on the amp models. And you can have as many as 4 instruments at once on this. Now, it doesn't have the amount of reverbs that are built into the GT1000. It doesn't have the amount of delays that are built into the GT1000 as far as different types. And it doesn't have some of the other features that the GT1000 has. So the GT1000 still remains the flagship, but this does some incredible things when it comes to the amp models and the guitar models. And the guitar models are better than the guitar models that are found in the GR55. They're not the same guitar models. I ran comparisons. I just ran guitar models through the mixer and compared them with the GR55, and I found that the SY1000 guitar models are slightly better. Okay, so now we're going to use our control function foot switch. I'm going to use the FS7, and we're going to go ahead and make sure we have power here. That's the first thing. Okay, and then we're going to plug it in. Use the B side. I got my TRS cable here, and we're going to plug it in, and we're going to use control 6 and 7. There we go. And we're going to plug it into the computer as well, because we're going to go to the Tone Studio software, and we're going to program a patch from the Tone Studio software. And I'm going to show you how you can expand your control functions. And this is pretty cool. You can make every patch like a pedal board. You don't even need pedal board mode. You can make every patch like a pedal board. So we're just going to turn this on. And now let's go over to the Tone Studio software. Okay, so now we are in Tone Studio for the GT1000. And we can look, here is our signal path, and it divides, right? Goes one way and then it goes the other way. And we can go back and forth. We can select it by control function 1. And if we hit control function 1, we are in the clean part right here. We definitely need to do something about that. I don't really care much for that tone. We'll fix that. And hit control function again, and it switches us back to this section down there. And this is kind of the tone we have right here. Okay, so you get the idea. So this is our tone right here. Now, the way you change everything is up in here in the control expression section, okay? So over here, you can see, here's all of our control functions right down in here, right? And what we're looking for primarily is 6 and 7, because we have the FS7 plugged in to the slot for 6 and 7. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip this on to a manual mode. So we're going to open that up, come down to manual. Now, every time we hit the button on the FS7, button 6, we're going to go into manual mode. And then we're going to take control 7, and we're going to make that a tuner, just like so. And then we have these control functions that we can change here. We're not going to make this a tuner for 3. We're going to take 3 and make it, we're going to put the distortion here, distortion 2. We'll put in 2 different distortion pedals is what we'll do. We'll figure out master delay 2. Now, when you go into manual mode, This is the manual function for manual mode, and then you can see 5 selections here. This is where you set what each button is going to do in manual mode. So you can select whatever effect you want. There's a lot of things in here to choose from, and you can customize the manual mode section this way. So I'm going to work further on this patch, and then we're going to go and check it out. So we'll see you back over at the GT1000. Okay, so now it's time to see the results of using Tone Studio and see the changes we've made in our edit. So we're going to test that out right now. We are using a patch that's a factory preset that we've modified, and the name of the patch is Modern LD CL. Now if we go over one more, we can see, let's go over one more. And we can see that our signal is divided into 2 sections, okay? So control function 1 will switch from this amp and this line over to the top line. So if we click on that, now we're using the top amp and this line. So we can switch back and forth from our signal path. That's how we designed that one. And control function 2 will turn on and off the distortion. Okay, so let's go back to our original screen here. Okay, so if we want to access the tuner, all we have to do is go over to A, and the tuner comes right up. We can test our tuning just like that. Okay, and control B right here, push that in, and now we're in manual mode. So we can go back and forth from memory mode to manual mode by B, thereby unlocking all of these down here so we can turn on and off. So right now we have a distortion 2 to distortion 1. So I have this tone here. So that's the tone. Now if I want to, I can switch from that line, from the one signal path to the other signal path. Now I'm playing through the other amp. See if we can add a little bit of chorus. Add more delay if I want. And I can turn those off. And then if I want to, I can switch my distortion. But this is not set up on this signal path, obviously, so we have to go back to the other signal path. Here we go. If I want to switch my distortion box out and have 2 different distortion boxes, get a little bit more. Okay, so I can use 2 distortion boxes at one time if I want to do it. Okay, so you can see we have just expanded the control functions. We have 5 on the bottom, 3 on the top, and 2 over here. Okay, and if we want to, we can plug in another control function and have 2 more. So that's going to give us a total of 12 control functions for the GT1000. Okay, we are inside the Boss Tone Studio for the SY1000, and we are in guitar mode. We have a factory preset in the rain loaded, and we've already made the modifications and adjustments that we want to make. So I'm just going to show you what we did real quick, and this is what our factory preset sounds like. To get more or less get an idea what this thing does. So what we're going to focus on here is the control function. I'm not going to cover a lot of this stuff because I'll probably do a video to cover more of the features of the SY1000. It's really overdue. Okay, so we're going to click on our control expression function right here. And as you can see down here is our control function section. Okay, so express 1, we've made that an expression pedal. So we've put our expression pedal in, and you can see we have a lot of different things that we can choose from. But we're just going to do a basic volume pedal. So we just foot volume 1 is basically what we have here. And then our other pedal is plugged into 5 and 6, and we've used 5 for manual mode, and we've used 6 for tuner. Okay, so we'll go over here to manual function, and this is where we can insert the functions for when we go into manual mode. And I've chose the ability to turn on and off some instruments. Okay, so normal is our guitar pickups. Okay, and then we can switch this on and off. Now, if I click on this, you'll see there's a lot of things you can choose from. And I'll just scroll through this real quick, and you can kind of see all the different things that you can control when you click on one of these switches here. Okay, so we're going to leave it where it is. We're not going to change anything. We said instrument 2, right? We're going to go back to instrument 1, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I'm going to see you over in the SY1000. We're going to get out of manual mode. Let's go back to the hardware. Okay, so we just got done editing the SY1000 in Tone Studio, and we have two external things hooked up. As you can see, we have an expression pedal right here, and it's hooked up right here, and we have our FS7 hooked up right in here. Here's our main outs left and right, and that goes right into the mixer. Okay, this is the same way we had our GT1000 set up. We didn't have the expression pedal, but we did have the box plugged in. So it mirrors what we did earlier here. Now this patch is called In the Rain. It's a factory preset that we've modified. And if I play, you can see nothing is happening because I made the expression pedal the volume. So I can turn up the volume this way. So you get the idea what it sounds like. Now, if I needed to tune the guitar, I come over here to where A is, click on A, brings right up the tuner, and I can go through and tune the guitar. Now, if I have two control functions here. There's two delays built into this, but I turn one of them off when I hit that. So there's still another delay in the background, but I shut one of them off, and I turn that on, and that delay comes back on. Now, if I want a phaser, that's control function 2. Click on control function 2, brings in my phaser. Okay, so that's all the control function you get, unless you come over here to B and you hit this control function, and that throws you into manual mode. And now we can have 4 more control functions. And we have 3 instruments that make up this patch. Normal means my guitar effects. Okay, so or my guitar pickups, actually. They're just the regular pickups. If I want to use my regular guitar pickups, I can just do that, and now my guitar pickups will work in this patch. And you can assign these to do anything you want. Here's our 3 instruments, and if we do a simple chording, and I'll show you as we turn some of these off. Now we have more control over the patch. Now nothing's going. Okay, this is what this one sounds like. Kind of a cool little effect. And those are blended with an acoustic guitar right here. All well and good, right? So let's say we want to change patches. Well, we go over here to where the B is, we leave manual mode, and now we can navigate to the patch we want to go to. And we just hit that patch. Now this patch is an acoustic guitar, and I've made it so that when you click the patch on it, it detunes the E string to a D. So here's our D. So now we have a drop D acoustic guitar. So as you can see, the guitar models sound great in here. They're better than, way better, I think, than the GR55. The amp models are way better than the GR55 because the GR55 is using the COSM. These have the AIRD amp models. As you can see, this is why I think this is its best kept secret, because you look at it as a guitar synth, you don't understand what it can do as far as the guitar modeling and the amp modeling. Okay, so last but not least is the GM800. So we have this basically hooked up the same way that we had the SY1000 hooked up. Our pickup plugs in right here. Here's our right and our left outputs, which go to the mixer, and the mixer is panned accordingly. And this has been the same way they've all been hooked up. So right is panned hard right and left is panned hard left in our mixer in two separate channels. This gives us an equal serial field. All three units have been hooked up that way. And here's our control function section in here. So here's blue, which goes to the expression pedal, or I could hook up a switch if I wanted to and have two control functions, but I use this for a volume control. This allows me to do the volume, but it also is great on organ patches because I can use it as a Leslie speaker. I can speed up the speaker and slow down the speaker in the organ patches using the Boss pedal. Now over here is the plug-in for the other two control functions. So I have two here that I can use. These are used to change the number here, the patch here, okay? And then these two are used for whatever I want. I can tune features on and off. Okay, so if I want to turn, for example, the Leslie speaker off, I can. If I want to access the tuner, I can. Whatever I want to assign to these two buttons, I can. So that's it for the control expansion. Okay, we finally reached the part where we're going to start connecting these things together. We're going to plug into 2 or 3 of these guitar synths at the same time. We'll use some of the pedal boards, and we're going to create a long chain of effects here. So this is going to be setup number 1. Okay, we're going to begin with a blank slate. We're going to plug into the Boss SY1000 and the GR55 at the same time and control both synths at once. Okay, so the next step is to connect the power supplies, which we've already done here, and we're going to connect the outputs to the mixer. Now on the mixer, I'm using the odd numbers for left and the even numbers for right. So left and right out of the SY1000 is going into channels 1 and 2, and channel 1 is panned hard left and channel 2 is panned hard right. And the GR55, the outputs are going into channels 3 and 4. 3 is panned hard left and 4 is panned hard right. Okay, the item that's going to allow us to plug into both these synths at one time is the US-20. Now before 2020, this was 150. And after 2020, it's now 300. Now I don't know if they're going to be discontinued or if they're still making them. There's several of them out there and you can still get them. But this is going to allow us to plug in both to the SY1000 and the GR55 at the same time. If you look, we have an A and a B. Now there are no batteries in this. It does not take batteries. But the power for this unit comes from the A plug-in. So whatever synth you plug into A, that's where it's going to get its power from. So if you want the power to come from the GR55, we have to hook this into A. Or if you want it to come from the GK or the SY1000, you have to plug it into A. So this is going to power, A is going to power the unit, and B is going to be the other one. So what we have to do, and this comes with these 2 cables that are fairly short. So to hook this up, we're going to go ahead and go into A with our cable. And it goes in upside down too, by the way, which is, I don't know why it does that. And it comes around and we go into the input this way. Now, same thing with this. Plug in the SY1000. This is going to go into B. So this US-20 is going to be powered by our GR55. Okay, and then our 13-pin cable is going to plug in right here, which we'll do here in a minute. Okay, next for this demonstration, I want to show you that we are going to be using the Fender Strat on this, and we're going to go out of our pickup jack here into here, and so now our pickups are being fed through our MIDI pickup, and we can, of course, as you already know, all you guys know this switch basically switches in this middle position. Okay, both the MIDI pickup is on and this is on. In this position, just the pickups and the guitar is on, and in this position, just the MIDI pickup is on. Now we're going to use this to control the devices, and I'm going to show you a little bit more as we go along, but this is what we're using for this demonstration. So the next thing to do is to hook up our external foot switches here to extend our control functions. Okay, so we're going to start with our expression pedal. Okay, so now we have the last piece in our chain hooked up. And as you can see, we're using a guitar out on the GR55. Now our pickups are being routed through the GK pickup, and then that funnels all the way down to the guitar out on the GR55. So it doesn't matter which synth you have on, you can still use the guitar out on the GR55. And we have that running over to the GT1000. Now also in the GT1000 you will see a control pedal hooked up. Now with that control pedal, the FS7, that's going to give us 12 control functions on that particular unit. So the whole thing together, as you can see, as we pan out here, you'll see this is the setup of the entire thing. Now, the GT1000 is run into channels 5 and 6 of the mixer. 5 is panned hard left, and 6 is panned hard right. If you plug a guitar synth into a guitar amp, you're not going to like the sound. In fact, a lot of the reviews that you read about this thing, where people bought them and they plugged them in the guitar amps, they said it didn't sound very good. That's because they had it plugged into a guitar amp. You need to plug it into a powered speaker system of some sort or a mixer. So believe it or not, the same thing applies to amp modeling. So if you have something like the GT1000, you're going to want to plug that also into a mixer instead of a guitar amp. Now you can use it with a guitar amp, obviously, but what you're doing is if you're using the amp models in the GT1000 and you're plugging it into a guitar amp, now you have two different amplifiers that are competing with each other. And this is what a lot of people have with, like say the Tonex. They're having problems with too much bass or too much mid-range. Well, my first question is, are you plugging that into your guitar amp? Because if you're plugging it into a guitar amp, now you have two amps that are competing with each other. Okay, so I got everything hooked up and working now. So we got one guitar plugged into the whole system. And the first thing we're going to do is go over and look at the US 20. We'll zoom in a little bit more on that so you could see what it does. Okay, right now it's B is selected. I think it's B. Yes, B is selected, which means we have the SY1000 plugged into that. If we want to listen to the GR55, we just click that and go over to there. If we want to hear both of them at the same time, we do both like that. And then we can use the expression pedals to control the volume of these things. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom out. And the first thing I'll show you is the SY1000. So as you can see on this, we have our switches, right? So we can go for the dynamic cue here. That was our tuner. If we want to go into manual mode, we can do that. If we want to hear what it sounds like, we have to take this pedal and go down. And now there it is. That's the sound of the tone of the patch, dynamic cue. Now, we can also play the Boss GT1000 with that if we want to. We just take the expression pedal up. I'm using the expression pedals for volume control, basically. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. And now you should hear that. Now, you can still control it also with the switch here on the guitar. You can control it. But here is... That's a GT1000 right there, okay? So if I want to control them both, one way of doing this, I'll put the expression pedal down here. One way of doing this is to take the switch on the guitar. If I put it down, I'm getting this. Put the switch up, I'm getting this. Put it in the middle, and I'll get both. Okay, I also have the control pedal hooked up to this, so if I hit this, I go into manual mode and I have my 12 or actually 10 control functions. You get 12 if I hook up another pedal here. Then if I go to A on this, I'll put the expression pedal down. Now I'm on A on the strings. I'm going to take this pedal up. Actually, I'll just use this switch on the guitar. And now here is the strings. So the GR55 has the strings on it. Now if I want to hit, if I want to use both of these at the same time, I just got to make sure that I hit the both button on the US 20. So it's all going to play at the same time. I can blend the GT1000 with that. I'm just going to put this switch down. And now I've got all three things playing at once from one guitar. Okay, now we're going to do setup number 2. Okay, so for setup number 2, we're going to start with another blank slate. We're going to start all over again, and we're going to do something different. In this setup, we're going to be using the GM800 guitar synth, the newest one, obviously, and we're going to be using the GK5 pickups. So if you've seen my previous videos, yes, I'm still having problems with the GK5 pickup. But I hear from people who don't have the same issues I do, and for that reason, I'm going to show them this setup. Now, I got a surprise about this pickup and something really cool about it to show you, so stay tuned. It's starting to grow on me a little bit, so I will show you this surprise a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and continue with this setup. So GK5 and the GM800. We're going to use the SY1000 along with the GM800, and we're going to use both of them at the same time. Okay, so just as before, we have both the GM800 and the SY1000 going into the mixer. So the odd numbers are left and the even numbers are right. And the GM800 is plugged in left, goes into channel 1, panned hard left, and right goes into channel 2, panned hard right. And on the SY1000, left goes into channel 3, panned hard left, and right goes into channel 4, panned hard right. Okay, the thing that's going to allow us to hook both these guitar synths together is the Boss GKC-DA converter. Okay, so this allows us to hook both units together. You can see here's a 13-pin output. Here is a guitar in. This is actually, these are the guitar synths. This is a guitar synth in, and here's a guitar in where you would plug your guitar in. Okay, and that when you plug your guitar into this part, it comes out the GK 13 pin. Okay, so what we would do is we use a cable. Now this is the cable that came from the US 20. We're just going to go ahead and plug that in and use that. Now you can order these cables as a part from Sweetwater. They will order just a cable, but you have to kind of call it in because they have to order it as a part. And I have extra cables that I've ordered as parts. I like them because they're short, and if I'm making connections, they work fine. Okay, so now once that's in, we have to connect the power supply, which we're going to do. And this is not powered by any unit, so this is self-powered. Now the next thing we need to do is go from the guitar synth out. You'll see a guitar synth out over here. We'll use this cable. So we'll go from the guitar synth out to the GK in. And the final hookup is going to be connecting the synth in pickup for the GK5. We're going to connect this right to the GK pickup itself. Okay, so the next issue we have is how do we get our pickups here? Because this takes a normal pickup input, right? How do we get these to come into here? Well, here's our pickup in. And if we plug into the pickup in here, it's going to come out the GK cable right into here. So you don't want two cables coming from your guitar. You don't want one going there and then one going there. So you use wireless connections. You're kind of stuck using wireless connections for the system to work. And I got this case from Amazon, and you can get these Lakido wireless systems from Amazon, okay? You have a receiver, and you have a transmitter. And what you do, and these are 5K right here, and you switch them on, and they turn on. That's blinking right there. And so the transmitter is going to go into the guitar. It'll be like this. And then the receiver end is going to go into here. So now, not only are you getting the MIDI signal from here, you're getting the guitar pickups as well. Now, of course, you're going to adjust the volume. This is how you're going to control the volume for that. You're going to have to hook up an expression pedal to here to control the volume for that. But this is the basic way of hooking both these two together. So now you can use the full capabilities of both systems. Now there is an issue with these Lakido wireless systems that you need to be aware of. When I first bought these a couple years back, they were great. They worked wonderful. And you have this little charging cable that comes with it, and it uses a lithium battery, and you can plug it in. You get about 5 to 6 hours on the charge of these things. They're only $56, not a lot of money really. But what I discovered is after 6 months, it sort of would drop out a little bit. They wouldn't really work as well. When I first bought them, I got a few more for gifts, and I gave them away. But after 6 months, my set didn't work very well. So I got another set, lasted 8 months or whatever. And the ones I gave away as gifts started to do the same thing. After a while, they begin to drop out. You'll be playing a chord or something, and they'll fade in and out. And we're not talking about walking away a great distance. So I'd order another pair. Maybe they were broken or something, and they would last about 6 months to a year. So these things have a life expectancy that you need to be aware of if you're going to invest money into them. Okay, so and when I got the new ones in, I compared them to the old ones. The new ones would work and these ones wouldn't. So I don't know if it's the lithium battery, how many times you can charge it, what the limit is on it. But these things do come with a life expectancy issue where I still have guitar cables that are 20, 30 years old that work fine. But I can't use a guitar cable in this instance. So looking for a more permanent solution, I went with the Relay G30 from line 6. And these things seem to work a lot better. They don't have a lithium battery. This has to plug in right here, so you plug it into the wall, so that's all you need is another plug-in, right? And then this takes batteries as well. So open it up and you can see we have 2 AA batteries in there. But what I've noticed is that the batteries last longer than these. These you'll get about a 5-hour charge from. And after about 5 hours it goes down and you just charge them up again. These, all you got to do is change out the batteries and you're good to go. So I would have a couple of pair of these on hand in case one charge wouldn't last long enough that I'd switch to the other one. But I'm getting better results with this. Now, I've only had this for 5 months, but I'm not having any issues with these. They're working fine. So in this case, instead of using the Lakido wireless systems, I'm going to use the Line 6 G30. It seems to work better. And the cool thing about this is that you can have 6 channels on here. So you can have every member in your band have a different channel. And then whatever guitars you have plugged in, you just select whatever channel you're using. So you can have different guitars plugged in and different battery packs hooked up, just ready to switch out. Okay, so the next step is to connect all the control switches. So I have an expression pedal and the FS6 connected to the GM800, and I have the expression pedal and the FS7 connected to the SY1000. All right, at this stage of the game, we really have a tangled sea of chords going on here, as you can see. So what we're doing is we're going over here to the SY1000, and we're using the send to take the signal to the input of the GT100. And the reason why I'm using the GT100 is because the amp models are different. The amp models in the SY1000 and the GT1000 are similar. There's many of the same amp models. So by using the GT100, I get a whole different collection of amp models. Okay, so we're plugged in everything. We have everything on here. And we'll start with the GM800. So I'm using these things as volume control, okay? And I can use the volume knob here to control my pickups going through anything. Okay, so I'm going to have the volume knob up on here. I'm going to ignore this from now, and I'm going to take this all the way down, and this should bring up the volume for the GM800. So what do we got here? Strings. And so now we're going to go over to the SY1000. We're going to turn that up. And what I have in here now is a Jazz 335. Now this is one of the modeling guitars that are built into the SY1000. Now we can change this around and get different models in here. Replicant. So here's Replicant. Try another one. Dynamic Solid, okay? As you know, I was having problems with the GK5 in the last videos, but it tracks extremely well when you're using the SY1000 and the GR55. The GK5 pickup works great with older guitar synths. It just doesn't work as well with the GM800. So that tells me that it's not an issue with the pickup itself. It's an issue with the GM800. That means that a firmware update can fix this. It's not a flaw in the pickup to where it will never work. It's one of those things where Boss has to put out a firmware update to where this thing will work a little bit better in that. Now this is a little bit more sensitive than the other pickups, and it actually tracks better than the other pickups in the older guitar synth. The GK5 will actually track better than the GK3 in the SY1000 and the GR55, and I don't know why that is. It's bizarre. Now when I build a pickup profile for this, I'm using the GK3 settings on here, okay? So this is GK3 set up here, and I plug the GK5 in and it works fine, no issues. My issue comes from here. So the pickup is not the problem, the guitar synth is the problem, okay? We're running experiments. I'm running experiments here and figuring this out as we go. What I've discovered, the output of the send jack does not go into here very well. It doesn't work. So when we go out to the send and go into here, it does not work at all. Now, if I'm going to go down here, modern effect, okay? So this is one of my patches here. Then I can change my pickup type. So you can see. Okay, so I go bassy again. So what we're doing here is that this guitar in works going out here and into this device, okay? But the send will not plug into here and work right. So let's go ahead and switch out a couple of these things. We're just going to do a modified version of setup number 2, and we're going to see what we can come up with. Okay, so in this modified version of setup number 2, we have coming from the guitar in, going to the GK out into the GR55 actually. Then the guitar out of the GR55 is going into the GT100. And as you can see, as we push this in, we can see we have our strings there, right? We'll push this in and we have our GT1000. And we push this in and we have our fretless bass. Let's modify this again, see what else we can do. let me tell you what's going on. I'm playing through the Boss GM800. Now this part is cool. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down. And now we have our GR55 over here. So look how this is routed. We're going out of this into this. Okay. Then our guitar is going into here through our wireless system. Then we're going out of the GK out, and we're going into the US-20. So that connects right here. And both units, the GR55 and the SY1000, are plugged in to here. Okay. So right now we're on A, and A is the GR55. So if I push this down, we should be able to get strings, right? Here we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this down, and then I'm going to switch over to B. Now, as we're doing B, the B line is going over here to the SY1000. I don't have any expression pedals hooked up or anything, so we're just going to turn the volume up. I've been using the volume knob as I've been running these experiments, and look at this. So there it is. There is the SY1000, right? So. I want both of them. I could do this. I want to bring in the GM800. I do that. So yes, we are playing through all three guitar synths at the same time, and we are controlling it from this guitar. We're using the expression pedals, obviously, but we have one guitar plugged into all three synths at one time. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, let's run some more experiments, shall we? Oh, before we do, though, let me just mention, you can go through the guitar out of the GR55, and that will still go into the GT1000. So if you wanted to use that as well, you can even add that to the mix. So you have 4 main boards that you're plugged in there. Okay, so let's try another experiment here. All right, I finally got all the maze hooked together. I'm going to walk you through what we're doing here, okay? So first of all, we have the GKC-AD converter right here, okay? I'm using my Strat, and I'm using the GK3, okay? I have my pickups plugged in through it, and it's going into the input of the GKC, and the GK output is going into the input of the GM800. Now, the synth out is going into the input of the GK in on the GKC converter box. Next, we have the 2 outputs that go to the mixer. Then we have 2 outputs that operate the control function. One cable goes to the FS6 and then the expression pedal. Okay, so moving over here, right here, the GKC-DA, we have a guitar out or a guitar in. Okay, so the guitar out from here is going into here. Okay, and then the GK out right here is running down into here to the US-20. Okay, so we have 2 outputs for the US-20, and those go to these other synths over here. So A is running into the GR55, and B is running into the SY1000. Okay, and then we have the outputs of these left and right going into stereo over to the mixer. The guitar out is coming down into the GT1000, and the outputs of the GT1000 are going into the mixer. So I also have an expression pedal that's plugged into the SY1000. I also have the FS7 foot switch, which is plugged into here, and an FS7 foot switch, which is plugged into there. And I can play everything at the same time. I can give you an example here. Here is the GT1000. Okay. Here is the SY1000. I'm just going to go down to the Roland US 20-foot switch and switch over. Okay. Here is the GR55. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the expression pedal down. You can hear that. Okay, I got just a basic nylon string guitar patch on there, I guess. Legends strings here. Let's see. Okay. And then I got over here. So over here I have the mixed piano patch. Okay, so here's the point of this video is very simple. We're trying to learn how to get the most out of our gear here. So, you know, if you have older guitar synths, you can use it with the new guitar synth. You don't have to throw it away. As we demonstrated, you can play through all three of these at one time and control it all from one guitar. And that's pretty cool in and of itself. But in addition to that, if I wanted to, I could have played through the GT1000 and the GT100. I have this AB box right here. I could have hooked up both of those through here. I didn't have enough room on the table to do that though. Now normally when I play out, I don't put all this gear on a table and work with it that way. I line it up in a line and I'll bend the ends so it's kind of like a half circle, so I can just kind of walk into that and just go to wherever I need to go and switch on whatever I need to switch on and switch off whatever I need to switch off. Okay, I want to personally thank you for watching this video. And if you have any questions about the things that you have seen, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll do my best to try to answer your questions. If you're trying to put together your own system, but you're stuck on something and you need some help, maybe we can troubleshoot it together. So go ahead and leave a comment about where you might be stuck and maybe we can work together on that. Now, I don't know what the Guinness World Book of Records is for effects pedals, but I think we're approaching that, right? I think we're getting the world's biggest effects pedal. Now, taking something like that out on a live excursion and setting that up would take you hours, right? And then to troubleshoot everything, make sure everything's working, doing your sound check, what a nightmare that would be, right? But when you're in your own music studio and you're just kind of putting things together, it's kind of like working with Legos almost. I don't know, it's fun just to kind of see where you can go. And it really makes the afternoon go by pretty quick, really. So thank you for watching, and I would ask that you would like and subscribe. I want to thank you for that as well. And that's all for this video. I'm Marcus Curtis from Marcus Curtis Music, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.